how did you introduce yourself and then your guest to your audience?
Listen.
Please listen.
Okay, guys. Anyways, welcome back. Following Fariza, we haven't been here for a while. I think it's been like almost 6 months since I made the last episodes. I don't even remember what my last oh no, actually I remember it was in winter, so it's not 6 months. But we are back to following Fariza. I brought my new friend here,
Yes.
Kubra.
Hello, everyone.
Come closer, actually. Yeah, so
She wants me to come
Kubra,
closer.
you know,
Yeah.
I love physical touch.
Well, I hope like throughout the whole podcast we're laughing and enjoying it. That's the most important thing.
Yes. So Cobra is a really cool artist. We met recently on a drawing session. Hi EJ, if you're
Hello,
watching.
EJ's class.
Yes, everyone come to Ealing Broadway
Yes.
to live sketching session.
Shout out to Ealing Project.
Ealing Project.
Ealing Project is where it's being hosted.
Make Ealing great again.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, Cobra told me that. So Cobra is an artist. She's working on her portfolio right now and on a very cool project that she told me about. And when we started to talk about it, I said, "Stop! Please shut up," because we're gonna record an episode, right?
Yes. My recent project, I went to Afghanistan to experience home again after 16 years of being in the UK. So I'm really excited to show some of the pictures to you guys and just talk about, my voyage as an Afghan Hazaragi woman who traveled all the way back home.
I hope you appreciate our outfits today. It's all for a reason here.
Mhm.
But let's start from the beginning. So,
Yes. The reason I decided to go to Afghanistan to do this photography project was kind of a continuation of what I kind of started for my dissertation at university when I was studying my BA illustration. And I noticed that there was a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of identity, and home. There was a lot of like unsolved questions I had, and I just wanted to go back to where it kind of began, where I was born. So I went to Afghanistan. Although the situation is very dangerous, but I think I was very careful. I went with family, and then I decided, made plans of where I was gonna go, how long I was gonna stay, traveled here and there, and took a lot of pictures. Every day I had a goal of at least 300 pictures that I take.
300. Oh
300
my God.
pictures in links to the theme of identity, home, and the sense of belonging and community. Really wanted to explore that when I was in Afghanistan, and I'm glad I went. Yeah.
So, let's start like from the basics, right? Like
Mhm.
the inspiration for the project. So, what is identity for you, and why it's sort of like in the center, like the heart of your project? What is identity?
I feel like, especially when you come to a place like London, there's a lot of different kind of people. When you get to meet new people, whether it's in like a group of networking, or anywhere, new friends and new people here and there. Even if you're studying at university or you're working, they will ask you, your name, of course, and then they will ask you, "Oh, where are you from?" or "What is your job?" And sometimes, why are you in London? For a lot of people it's like studying. I'm here for studying and work and everything. But then what is interesting for me is a lot of people come to this country from different countries, and when you ask them their identity, they will say, "Oh yeah, I'm British," or this or that.
Yeah.
But being British is like having your papers, right? So you have a national identity because you're here, you have a British passport. But a lot of people, like, sometimes they don't know. You ask them, "Oh, where are you from?" They're like, "Yeah, for me, a lot of times when I first came to London, I used to tell people, "Yeah, I'm from Wolverhampton." They're like, "What country is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just a city, like, not well known, but it is in England. It is."
You have a British passport?
I do.
Okay.
I do, thankfully. I'm glad because this is my home now. However, I feel like it's so important to, know your roots. That's what it came down to when I was in uni. When they were asking me, "Are you Afghan?" And if you're from Afghanistan, you must be Afghan. But Afghanistan has over 13 different kind of ethnicity. It's a multilinguistic country, multicultural, and multi-religion. So I feel like a lot of times, when people see me and when I tell them from Afghanistan, they're like, "You don't look Afghan."
You don't look. I was very surprised, and I didn't know much about Afghanistan. Like I had a couple of Afghani friends.
Are we not neighbors? Neighbor countries.
Uzbekistan between us, I think.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like I knew of Afghanistan, but I didn't know much about Afghan culture.
I see. Yeah, Afghanistan in my language it's pronounced Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, yeah.
Afghanistan, yeah.
Afghan.
And Istan means land. Like England in my language, it would be Englistan, the land of English. You know.
In my language, it's Ola Britannia.
Britannia, yeah. Well, that's the new name, you know. But I'm talking about England, and Scotland is like land of Scots, you know.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
So Stan stands for land. Afghan is like a group of people, different ethnicity from mine. So in the records, if you check, don't think they do it properly, but you know, how are you doing census in Afghanistan to calculate what is the number of, you know, certain group of ethnicity? But in those terms and in Taliban's, you know, and they have the Pashtun people or the Afghan people, which is the majority, and then
They look different, right? Like
they
they
look
were
different,
Middle
yeah.
Eastern
They
look.
look more Middle Eastern, I would say, yeah. And then we have the Tajik people.
Yeah.
Tajik people,
They're similar to Tajikistan, right? Like
I think so, yeah, yeah. But I'm not quite. I can't say anything is for 100% because you cannot find anything.
nothing. Please don't fact check this.
These are just
podcast.
like
Talk.
there's certain things I read here and there, and it's been like 2 years since I wrote my dissertation, so I'm slowly forgetting things. And then I think it's after that is Uzbekian people,
Uzbeks, yeah.
and then after that, like in terms of the population, and then I think it's Hazara. So
And that's the topic.
yeah, today we're gonna be talking a lot more about my culture, which is
Yeah.
you know, from Afghanistan, and I don't know if it's the south. Okay, I'm not good with geography, but there's a place called Bamyan and there's a place called Ghazni, and that's where I'm from. So I'm from Ghazni, and I'm just going to be talking more about my culture and how it reflects into my, you know, project that I did in Afghanistan. But today I asked Fariza to come in her cultural, you know, kind of jewelry.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be talking about how art, you know, embroidery, jewelry, it kind of has your roots in it, you know?
Yeah. So tell us, you're Hazara Afghan.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that like there are like as Kubra just told you, I didn't know that there are different ethnic groups within Afghanistan, which makes sense. And Hazara Afghan is usually very different in terms of like culture and religion and like the outfits and even physical appearances.
Yes.
So when we think about like I think when majority people think about Afghan people, like they don't think about Hazara people. Hazara people are different, right? I think that we should go to your project, which is I think very interesting because it talks about identities through the lens of appearances, jewelry, clothes,
Yes.
and how you present yourself, right? Because this
Yes.
is something that, especially if you're like from a minority culture, you probably don't see the representation of that like in the mainstream media and
You
stuff
don't.
like that.
You don't.
So that is why you wanted to do like a photo project, right? So
Yeah.
people can see it. So let's talk about that.
Yes. Yep. So I wanted to start off by asking you, Fariza, what is your
Yes, Cobra.
what is your identity? You know, what do you where do you when I ask you where are you from,
Yeah.
what kind of answer would you usually give?
So, oh my God. So I've been living in the UK for many, many years, right? In different forms and shapes as a student, as a professional, as a future student. Like, actually, not that. I was
The corporate working woman.
how's it? Corporate Betty. Yeah,
Corporate
that's
Betty.
how I was called.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a good question, and I think you're being asked all the time where are you from, etc. So I mean, like usually if a person asks where are you from, I say I'm from Kazakhstan because that's where I was born. That's where I was raised until I was 17, and then I moved to the UK to pursue my education and build my life here.
But when you say Kazakhstan, are you saying like ethnicity wise or nationality?
I mean, I'm ethnically Kazakh as well, right? So those things do not separate in my head.
Sometimes it does, you know? Because if you've been here, like let's say you've been in the UK over 10 plus years, then maybe you have a wife here or a husband, and then you have children here. And then when you still meet people,
The thing is that when I meet people outside of
Mhm.
London, when they ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from London. I live in
Yeah,
London.
that's
Yes.
crazy though, right?
Yeah, but if
Because
people in
London is so different compared to those cities.
yeah, but if people in the UK would ask,
Mm,
I would say I'm from Kazakhstan. But if like I go traveling, they say where you live or where you're from, I say in
London.
London because that's where like I work or study or like live the majority of my time.
Yes, this nicely falls on to my next question that I wanted to ask. Where is home for you?
So we talked about it a little bit last time. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it depends. I think like culturally, my home, like you have several homes basically, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
first home is where my parents are. So wherever my parents are right now, that's where home for me because you just know that that's the place you always can go back to. Like, and that's what my parents tell me all the time. Like, no matter what's happening in your life, you know, you will always have like how it's called, roof above your heads and
Yeah,
food on your table
a
and
home
stuff
to
like
come
that.
back to
Yes, a
whenever you
home
need
to
it.
come back
Yeah.
to. Yes, so you know your country is always there, your home is always there, we're always there for you, right? So this is
Yeah.
my home, but also home is where like you live, like your lifestyle, like your profession, your like your main business, what you do for life, where it's
Yes.
based, right? So
Mm-hmm.
right now it's where I work, where I study, so it's London, and London is my home. So when I like going to Kazakhstan, I say I go home, but when I'm in Kazakhstan, I want to go home, which I mean I want to go back to London,
I
right?
see, I see. Yeah, I get it completely. But I really admire that. I feel like you guys are so lucky to have a place to call home and go back to. But for a lot of people, especially people from Afghanistan, they don't have that
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know if you should say luxury.
Privilege,
Yeah,
privilege.
that
You
privilege.
understand that it's actually a privilege, like
It
at
is a
some point,
privilege, yeah,
yeah.
to go back home, to always go to a space that is nostalgic, that is safe, that your family is there. But I know so many people from Afghanistan, they had to like scatter, so they go to one country and their family ends up going to a different country. Maybe they get a passport there, maybe they start a life there. They always think about going back home, they always say that I miss home, which is where they're originally from, Afghanistan. But Afghanistan is like kind of like no more. You never know the future of it. It's always been in war, and you never know if it's going to be stable. And if you actually start a family where you have children, you have a son, you have a daughter, and you would know that Afghanistan is not the right place. It's either going to Afghanistan and being inspired to pick a gun, or to stay here and pick a pencil and a book and study and actually get your life somewhere.
I think it's crazy, like even to understand that this actually is a reality for many people.
That
Like
is,
it's hard to comprehend, because I feel like even I'm coming from like an emerging country, developing country, but it's a safe country, right? Like there
yeah,
is no threat of something,
yeah.
and like understanding that for people it's like a literal choice that you have to make. Like you either literally put yourself in a danger, like in a
Hmm.
situation where you can actually potentially be killed,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
like fly away to a totally different place
Yes,
just for
yes.
the safety, just for this basic stuff. That's, I think that's kind of mind-blowing, like that's if you like really think about that.
Yeah, imagine right now we're sitting here in a nice park talking and minding our own business, right? We would not be able to do this in Afghanistan.
Really, like you just can't sit in the park and just with your
Even like
girlfriend.
filming, they're like, why do you need to be in front of camera? What are you doing? You literally need a license to film a video for YouTube. And even then, they'll have problems. As a young woman, me and you, we have to wear face masks and, of course, headscarf to even, talk in front of a camera. You hear stories here and there, but when you go and you actually witness it, like at some point, I was wearing like a green shawl. I don't think I brought that with me today. I was wearing this green shawl. It was a little bit transparent, but I folded in a half, like folded in two, so it was less transparent. But apparently, the Taliban at some point had a problem with me going around walking with a green headscarf. Even though my hair, everything was covered, they were like, "You're wearing color.
And you can only wear black, right?
You can only wear black hijab." And if you think about it, it's crazy because when I went there and I saw it with my own eyes, I saw how like colorful and beautiful Afghanistan culture is.
It is very beautiful, like because I googled it a little bit. Like people are very beautiful,
Hmm.
like it's very bright, I think, historically.
Yes, yes. We can put some pictures as
Yeah.
examples on the podcast for like Hazara dresses. It's always like bright colors with the skirts that's flowy, that's comfortable. Even the trousers is comfortable and everything. It's colorful and it's not like long It's like sometimes around the knee and everything like that. And then there's people who have different kind of styles. Before the Taliban took over, they would say Iranian style clothing, which was a little bit more modern, like a little bit more westernized with the shirt and denim jeans and stuff like that. But you have to understand
Okay.
that Afghanistan is a multi-linguistic and multi-religion country. So the religion is not just Islam. They kind of reinforces Islam onto everyone.
They have Hindu, they have Sikhs,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Even Christians, I think, right?
They have a lot of. I remember in Iran they have a religion called Zardashti, which is with
Yeah,
fire.
like Zoroastrianism, like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Zarathustra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, I heard in Afghanistan there are people like that practice the religion, but like secretly.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So there's a lot of things that goes on there, but you will know when you go to Afghanistan. And for me, I'm glad that I just didn't stay in the city. I also went to the small kind of
Provinces.
provinces and the villages, and I saw that maybe in some villages the people were a lot more relaxed. There wasn't a Taliban policing them all the time because the jobs are all in the capital city, and this is where the government is and the Talibans are. But in the village, it was a bit more relaxed, so girls could wear what they wanted. But still, because of the culture and how much influence religion has on culture, it was still like, okay, you need to cover up. You can wear color, but cover up. Don't laugh too loud, don't run too much. All of that. Very conservative. But it wouldn't stop you from wearing a cultural dress that was really colorful. And if there was an event, it would be okay. But I heard in Afghanistan, even the Taliban don't like weddings.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I heard that if you're a bride and you're going to get your makeup done somewhere and you come out to that place, the Taliban will arrest you.
So basically, what you say is that it's different. Usually, like in the big cities, culture is more relaxed, and usually in villages, I feel like it's usually more traditional. But in Afghanistan, you say that villages have more liberty, like to a little bit like with their culture, with their clothing, because there is less control.
There is less control in the villages, I believe. I mean, every now and then the Taliban will come, but it's a lot more in control there. It's more, I feel like, culturally, with the Hazaragi people culture, they're a lot more free to practice their culture. But there are certain things and certain events and celebration that Hazaragi people cannot do anymore
For
because
example,
it crosses with the Afghan people, with the Pashtun people. And once I heard that even Nowruz is New Year.
oh, we celebrate Nowruz.
You celebrate Nowruz. Happy Nowruz.
Happy Nowruz.
We can see the flowers everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, it's springtime. It's the new year. Yeah.
I have I had friends in
So
London.
Hazara people celebrate Nowruz?
Afghan people, Iranian people,
Afghan
they
people,
celebrate.
okay,
Yeah. But the thing is, I heard something controversial here, and this friend was telling me it was on the news that they don't allow Hazaragi people to celebrate Nowruz.
Really?
And I was like, but I have a friend who's from, she's Pashtun, she's Afghan, and she celebrates Nowruz. But the thing is, because of the whole war and everything that's been going on, even if there is Hazara people, now there's a bit of them that was forced to, maybe forced, or maybe they were already practicing Sunni side of the religion. And then there's Pashtun Afghan people who are actually like Shia Muslims. Majority are Sunni, but
Yeah, I think it's not a Muslim, not an Islamic holiday. It's like
New Year is the New Year's
Zoroastrian.
holiday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
sometimes we call it Eid in Nowruz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. In Iran they do. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know in Afghanistan. But to be honest, coming here in the UK, you go and celebrate every day. To be honest, I find reason. Christmas. I don't really celebrate Christmas, but my friends do. They give gifts, and I feel like okay.
I celebrate everything,
Me too. Me too. I
Yeah.
celebrate everything.
You can invite me to any holiday, like Chinese New Year.
Celebrate my holiday. I celebrate
Christmas.
your holiday.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like a maybe Kazakh thing, or like not a Kazakh thing, but like that's because Kazakhstan is very multinational, like ethnically diverse.
Yeah.
And we celebrate all the holidays, especially we have a lot of
Kazakhstan is also a multi-ethnic country.
Yeah, we have like 100 nationalities.
100
I think like
nationalities. Wow.
60 or 70% are like Kazakhs, and like others like all other countries. So
Yeah.
we would like celebrate, I don't know, I was invited to celebrate Easter with like Orthodox
In
Christian.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like we would celebrate Maslenitsa, which is like a Slavic holiday. Like it's pre-religious holiday, and obviously we would celebrate Nowruz, and we would celebrate Eid as well, which is like an Islamic holiday, right? So we just celebrate. We celebrate New Year, which is like atheist holiday basically, and we celebrate Christmas, and we celebrate everything. And I think when I moved to the UK, like I made new friends, and I went to celebrate Lunar New Year with them, you know, and I would celebrate Christmas, and I would celebrate Thanksgiving, and I mean, like, I like all the holidays, like, you know, Diwali.
Yeah, there's so many. Diwali in Kazakhstan.
No, like in Kazakhstan, I've never heard about Diwali, but I like here it's a big thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
I was in London.
Yeah, in London.
Eid, Christmas, Diwali. There's a bunch of other ones as well. And I know
it's beautiful, you know.
it's beautiful. Everyone, like even people who don't celebrate that thing, but you know, you see people of different, all kind of colors and whatever coming together. You know, like I went to Diwali celebration with my friend. They invited me, and it's so beautiful, you know. But in London, it's very, very open.
So I'm ready to celebrate any holiday basically
Me
because
too,
it's like it's a union between you, me, our friends.
It's what brings people together to be in celebration,
yes.
and it's so important. So during your, what is one kind of national celebration you have in Kazakhstan?
Like the biggest one?
Yeah.
Well, I think our biggest holidays are New Year.
Nowruz.
No, like New Year, which is 31st December, 31st.
The English, we say the English. The English, so the West.
Secular New
because
Year.
Because we, in Afghanistan, we don't follow this calendar. We have a completely different calendar and stuff like that.
Yeah. So for us, it's like classic New Year.
Yeah.
Then
classic New Year is the English.
Yeah, the West. Not Christmas, but like New Year.
Yeah.
Then Nowruz. We say Nowruz.
We say Nowruz as well. Now means new, Ruz means day.
Yeah.
New day. Yeah.
So it's a big thing. Then 8th of March, International Women's Day. It's like my favorite holiday, obviously.
Yes.
And
it's crazy they don't have that in Afghanistan.
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that.
But it's actually because it was initially part of the Marxism movement, right? Like International Women's Day.
I think so, but I'm glad that it became more international.
Yeah, but like it was a big holiday in Soviet Union, and it's still big. But now we don't say that it's not necessarily. It's also about women's rights, but it's also about just appreciation of women. You know, people say thank you to all the women that are alive. You get presents, you get flowers, you get jewelry. You know, oh my god. I got too excited.
Yes, the birds run away.
Yes, like crazy woman.
Yeah. No,
anyways,
but do you in Nowruz or in the westernized New Year, I guess, do you wear like the jewelry that you have right now? Or
so this one I would wear for like Kazakh events, like for I can't even wear them just casually, but I would definitely, because there is a big it's called Central Asian Spring Festival in London. It's a big thing that's happening, like to celebrate.
Let me know the next one. Yeah,
I'll let you know. This year it was cancelled, by the way.
Why?
I think they had like some logistics problem.
I see. Excuses.
Exactly. We're still waiting. Come on. But yeah, I would usually wear my traditional. So like
you have a traditional dress as well?
Not here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you can find a picture, maybe you can put it on the podcast like to show.
Kazakh traditional. Yeah, yes. It's really pretty. Honestly, it's like it's very colorful. It's like it has the hat. It has the thing.
Nice, and it comes with the jewelry as well. Like I'm just thinking in terms like day-to-day life in Kazakhstan, and then you have the New Year or something. What do you take out from your special box to represent your roots? You know, to celebrate that.
I would say definitely jewelry. Like even if you have
like your rings, what you have on.
Okay,
we're showing you.
That's the interesting part. Okay, so today Kubra asked me to wear my traditional jewelry, and I don't have a lot here, but I wore what I have. So this set is like traditional Kazakh jewelry. I think it's more like smaller. Like it's not.
You have bigger ones as well.
Yeah, like bigger ones, like for big celebrations, stuff like that. But this one is just what my parents bought me, like a set when I moved to the UK, and like just for me to have. And usually silver and with some stones. It's usually very colorful. I think mine is a bit toned down because usually it's even bigger, it's even brighter. I think it's because I'm just like a young girl. They wanted me something more like subtle.
Yeah.
So this is like,
ooh, I love that
bracelet. I think it's silver. Like you don't. Everything has to be silver or gold, basically, and stones, and high quality. So
and the little, I don't know what you call it. My language is called negin. The green and the red on the earrings and the necklace as well. What do you call that? The gem? It's not a gem. What
I'm
is it?
not sure.
Or
It's
the
like,
stone?
I think it's just natural stones, but
Yeah,
I'm not
natural
sure.
stones.
Yeah, how it's called. But yeah, I have my ring. So
Mm.
this one, honestly, I think this was from one of the weddings probably, because if you're a guest on a wedding, you always get like jewelry and stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
presents if you're part of the family.
Mm.
And this one is actually, it's like I said, a history. It's like my favorite ring.
Yeah. I feel like personally, I feel like sometimes jewelry is part of history. It gets passed down,
Yeah.
from generation to generation.
You feel connection to your roots and you to your
Exactly.
family.
Yeah, and then you know the story behind it as
Yeah.
well. Which when you wear that ring, you wear that earring, you wear that necklace, and you carry yourself with that, knowing the full meaning
Yeah,
and where
you
it
know
comes
who you
from.
are,
You know who you
Yeah.
are. Then you're no longer lost. When I was
That's
in
so true. Yeah.
that is why I kind of really wanted to explore more in the jewelry and embroidery, what makes you and what tells a part of your culture and your identity. And that's so important. And then once when you do know, like, okay, this is a cultural ring, this means this thing, this design has this name for it, it means mother or means this, sisterhood. We give a lot of like gifts to, friends and, sisters. All of that. Once when you know the meaning of that, you can work with full confidence knowing who you are. I feel like with the young generation, a lot of times they forget. They don't get taught that part of history because maybe their parents want them to forget or something. They don't want to even be aware of it. I'm so grateful that some of us in our culture we carry the jewelries that we have and our identity. And
So tell us about your, how to say, relationship with your culture before you started this project. Like, did you know a lot about your culture? And
that's the thing. When I was like 3 months old, we got out of Afghanistan because of the
Okay.
war, just before the Americans took over. I was in Iran for 7 years, so I grew up in Iran. But you never like Iran has a whole different kind of politics that goes on in that country. They don't really accept Afghan people as a refuge. They don't really give them national identity card or passport or something.
Okay.
Like even now, an Afghan person they cannot go and buy a SIM card, such as little things like that. And I feel like with me, especially in London, people ask me where you're from. When you get to know them in the beginning,
I
in
would
class
never
or
think that
something.
you're from Afghanistan.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I like to play with them. I'm like, where do you think I'm from? You have 3 guesses.
I would say
Usually,
Italy.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. I always get because we introduce each other. My name is Kubra, and then my hair is curly or whatever. They I like, yeah, a lot of people, even Turkish people, they mistake me for Turkish.
Yeah, you look Central Asian. I would say you could
Yeah.
be Kazakh, you could be Tatar,
Mhm.
you could be, yeah, I would say you could look, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, even I showed my mom your picture, she says she can be Kazakh, like she looks
Yeah,
Kazakh.
definitely. But I also get Portuguese, Greek. I think it's my curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say Italian maybe as well. I think.
Yeah, I think it's the way you dress as well. But when I go to like an Afghan,
Maybe
not
it's
Afghan,
accent as well.
do I have an accent? Sometimes I shift to American. I watch a lot of American shows and stuff.
It's interesting because you grew up in the UK, but you don't have British accent, right?
The thing is, we moved a lot. We used to live in
Oh,
Wolverhampton.
okay.
Wolverhampton had a completely different accent.
Where is Wolverhampton? Like I've.
Wolverhampton is a city next to, very close to Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Birmingham is very diverse. Wolverhampton not so much, but they have a completely different accent there. And
Oh, I didn't
like
know that.
Manchester has a different accent. Liverpool have their
really?
own. Yeah, London. When I first came to London, within that year, a couple of people they were like, "Oh, you're from Wolverhampton." Like my pharmacist was like,
really?
"You have like a Wolverhampton accent." But I feel like for me, I adapt. And if I'm surrounded by a specific group of friends, I feel like I kind of
Oh.
become them. My accent, my how I dress, how I talk, how I
It's, it's the adaptability of an immigrant. You kind of blend in.
yeah. I feel like it's a strength to
Yeah.
have, to be honest, in this kind of
It's very-
society we
yeah.
live in. Yeah,
Do I have an accent?
you do. But I wouldn't know where
You
your
wouldn't know,
accent is
yeah.
from. Yeah.
Do you know my first language? Would you guess
Your first language?
from the way I speak?
No.
You don't know what's my first language?
No. What is your first language?
Russian?
I think you mentioned, to be honest.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the beginning. Yeah.
But no one ever guesses that my first language is Russian.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah. But like
Kazakhstan is also a multilingualistic country then.
yeah, like most people are bilingual or bilingual to some extent, and you learn several, like you learn Kazakh, Russian, and English in school. But to be completely fair, some people speak better Kazakh, some people speak better Russian.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that also depends on your education,
Education,
and how long you've been in the
family,
country, and
yeah.
family, and how much you're involved with the culture and the community and whatnot. When I first came to the UK, I was here for like 1 or 2 years or something. I was speaking to one of my family member. My family member, he said, "Oh, your Persian is very bad. Like your for your Farsi, which is or
Say something
Dari.
is Farsi.
Salam khob hastin means hi. How are you? Are you good?
Again,
Salam khob hastin.
in Kazakh it would be Salem Kalaysın.
Salam kalaysın.
Salem Kalaysın.
Oh, cool. It's similar. So salam is high in your
Yeah,
yeah.
Salem, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because we're kind of close.
Do you
Yeah,
have like an extended version of salam? Because we also
Salamu alaikum.
but it's like, yeah, we say salam alaikum, like, yeah, salam alaikum.
Salam is hi. Salam
Yeah.
alaikum is like hello.
But we also have salimiyat sizbeh, which is
wow,
like,
that is very long.
yeah, it's like,
It's full like handshake.
yeah. What is the teacher salimiyat sizbeh? Yeah,
Couple of shakes. Yeah,
you know the ball.
yeah. But I think
it's like a
language
very
is
official,
so important.
Yeah.
So when I was here and then they told me your Dari is really bad, I became really like self-conscious about speaking my language then, because my English was also slowly improving. So I wasn't good in English, and then I was forgetting my language. And at some point last year when I went to Afghanistan and Iran, I was very like conscious, like I hope they don't know that I am like an outsider. Because at some point I did feel like an outsider. But when I used to sit down next to like the people there, they had gatherings, friends, we were chatting. They wouldn't actually know that I was actually from the UK, like that I grew up in UK.
Oh, so like
I can speak my language like
Afghan.
uh, it's the official language of Afghanistan is Dari,
Oh, Dari.
but
Okay.
it's just different dialect.
Okay.
So the dialect that I speak is called Hazaragi. Hazara people speak Hazaragi. It's Persian, but it has an accent and some words are different. So when I sat down around Hazaragi people in Kabul and in Jogri and even in the village where I'm from in Ghazni, when I was sitting there and talking, they wouldn't know, they wouldn't spot immediately. But sitting down 15, 20 minutes, and then they saw how my view was so different about certain things. Like at some point in Kabul, we were sitting down and they were talking about these 3 underage girls being taken away by the Taliban because they were wearing too much makeup. And I said, what was the other reasons? What the crime did they commit? They're like, yeah, they were just wearing too much makeup. The Taliban took them away. They know the rules. It's their fault that they got in trouble. And I was like, yeah, but that's unfair. Nowhere in the religion it says you can't wear too much makeup. It's a fashion trend. And then when they saw that, they're like, okay, where are you from? Because you don't talk like someone who grew up in Afghanistan.
Okay.
You're trying to defend those girls instead of saying, yeah, they were wrong. And I was like, still in the Taliban says that you shouldn't be without a male companion that is from your family, whether it's a father, husband, a relative, your uncle, or whatever. But how can they take away these girls who are underage and they don't have anything? Like that is against what they said. You can't do that. But they have their ways. Of course, they're people in power and they're not good people. There isn't a woman, I don't think, in the parliament in Afghanistan. It's all men. Going back to language, I think language is so important and it brings people together. And it's so important not to forget your language. I know so many people in London who are maybe from two different kind of ethnicities. Their mother was from a different one and their dad was from a different, and then they forgot one. They didn't get taught one. They didn't learn to speak that language. I'm so grateful that I can speak my language. I can speak English. I can speak Farsi. I can speak Hazaragi, my dialect as well. And it's always keeping those friends close so you don't forget that bit of the culture, the language. When you think about your culture, sometimes music festival,
music, yeah.
sometimes embroidery, certain jewelry design have certain patterns, or it's a language of the culture, a language of an identity. And if you are able to speak that and not forget that, it's a privilege to have, even to live in a Western society, because you still have those connections to back home.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
So tell me about your jewelry now.
Oh yes,
because she has beautiful ones.
Thank you so much. I got most of these when I was in Afghanistan and Iran.
To the camera.
Yes, so I have this black one here. I got this one from Iran.
What is made of?
I think originally they make it from a special stone, but this was kind
Yeah.
of like it's not the stone. I don't know what it is. It's like a cheaper version. The
Okay.
stone is over hundreds and hundreds of pounds. This one I got from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. Is it silver with
It is silver with the black stone. I just like.
opal, maybe?
I don't know. I don't think it has a specific name. It's just a
Okay.
silver ring with a black stone. But it
Natural
goes a lot to
stone,
with my styles and clothing that I have in
Mhm.
England. I have this. This one is not a cultural one. It's just I saw it on the street and I thought it was a really nice pattern, like
Yeah.
the pattern of a.
It looks
henna.
vintage, right?
Thank you. I think so. Yeah. And then this one, this ring here is a kind of like an ethnic, like a cultural Hazaragi ring. I think it's silver, but it has this kind of pattern. Comes with this bracelet.
Oh, nice.
Like if you look at the patterns of this bracelet,
Yeah, similar.
it's got similar patterns and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
has a lot of like, I think this one is a swan. Sometimes they have deer and stuff like that. Very ethnic. Yeah. See, we have like similar patterns, you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
similar.
And I remember I was reading this thing that was talking about translating dreams and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said sometimes people who really believe in this kind of thing, certain pattern, you know, has certain meanings. Whether it's in embroidery, in jewelry as well. And it's supposed to like some things, some patterns are maybe in an embroidery, and if they gift you that, it's supposed to bring you luck. And sometimes it brings you money, sometimes it brings you physical health, you know. We can do that. Yeah. So we have a lot of that kind of stuff. But I think jewelry is so important now that when I wear my jewelry, when people come to me,
Show them your earrings.
yeah, so this one is just a gift from my mother.
Mhm.
This just crystals. This one is a Hazaragi earring. It's quite heavy actually, but I feel like I'm getting used to it.
They're
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Thank you. But this is a Hazaragi earring. So when I meet people from my culture, they immediately know. They're like, "Oh, is this from, you know, did you get this from Afghanistan? Is it like a Hazaragi type of jewelry?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." But this is a whole set. It has a necklace, it has earrings, and it has this thing called silsila. Silsila is like you put it
Yeah,
here.
like that. We also
Yeah.
have similar like
Yeah.
headpieces. Yeah.
Recently, I had a shift to go and model. So I went with my full Hazaragi jewelry. So I was wearing the silsila. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram on my story.
I might have missed it when I deleted the app.
Oh yeah, you
I
did.
deactivated, but it's another story. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I put that on social media, a lot of people liked it, and a couple of people messaged me, "Is this like your Hazaragi culturally jewelry?" And I said yes. So I feel like sometimes it's very empowering, but it was nice experience. So I have some drawings. Maybe we can put that here. They're not my drawings, but I didn't take any picture. I think I took one when I was in the station, in the
Okay.
train on the reflection. But every now and then I forget. But it's good that, you know, I had other artists draw me. So maybe I can put that and then
Yeah.
maybe put their at as well, their website or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't put it in the video. So I think the other thing is that like it's really cool. But so in your culture, does jewelry have a meaning in itself? Because in mine does. So I want to hear from you. Or should I start?
You give me an example of what you mean.
So for example, in my culture,
Is the elephants also your culture, or is that different?
no.
Yeah.
Just a joker.
Yeah.
It looks nice together.
Yeah, it does. It does. Put it well together. Yeah.
But I think for us, so basically we believe in evil eye, right?
We believe in evil eye as well. Do you also have that stick that you burn? Like you come to my house and I feel like, okay, maybe you give me an evil eye or you have bad vibes. I burn this stick, as in to get rid of the evil eye. You know what I mean? It's witchcraft, isn't it?
I mean, I think it's normal.
Yeah.
No, we would do like, for example, if I move to a new place, I would go with a candle like in every corner because
Candle, normal candle,
or like any type of fire. You can use a candle. You can use like how it's called, the match, right?
Yeah.
Like, or the lighter, whatever. And like I have to cleanse the space with like every corner with fire. And also,
We
like,
call this stick in my culture spand. A spand. It's like a piece of wood, but it's like you kind of fire the tip of it, and then you burn out the fire, and then it's just like smoke coming out of it. So if you come to my house, and then I'm like, oh, keep the evil eye away. So just like literally, I have one picture that I'm gonna put on there. In Afghanistan, if you're in the car, you're going in the streets. Because these boys, there's a lot of child labor in that country, sadly. But they go around making their money by having expand this stick that's kind of burnt a little bit in kind of like a container with a long handle. It's metal, and then they will just carry that, you know. And then if you're in a car, they can blow a little bit of that smoke in your car, and
like
then you pay them. You pay them. It's called Ispan. It's like a huge thing in Afghanistan, and I feel like it's not just limited to the, you know, Hazaragi culture.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of the cultures in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Really, really believe in that. Especially my grandmother.
That's really cool. I don't think that it's necessarily like such an everyday thing in my country, but like every family basically does it, you
Yeah,
know?
there are things that gets passed on from like
Yeah.
culture and culture, like generations down.
Yeah.
There was one thing that my mom used to tell me when I was in Afghanistan. I was little, so at some point I used to have a lot of nightmares and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And when you're little, you don't know. And there was my mom had a lot of work. The daily life of a woman in Afghanistan is so tough. They don't sleep much, honestly, with the house chores and everything. And at some point, I told my mom that I had nightmare or something. I tell her, and then she was like, at some point, she's like, if I'm not available, if I'm not free, if I'm working or something, there's a river or there's a stream down from the mountain or something. Go next to that and talk. And she told me that the river, the stream,
It will take your.
it will take your message to God or the higher beings or something like that.
like
And if you have
that.
a worry, you tell it to the water.
Yeah.
My mom, this is so spiritual, and I used to believe that for years. Even now, like
Yeah.
stupidly, I tell my friends I'm gonna go for fresh air or something, and then I'll go and talk to the lake.
I think
The lake or the water.
no, I actually like I can connect to that. Like yeah, it makes sense for me to be honest. Like
That's so cool.
I think like those cultures, like a lot of Central Asian cultures, because they were not initially religious, so they had like there was a lot of connections to nature and like
There
those
is.
things. Yeah,
There is
yeah.
I feel like Afghanistan with the Hazara people, although they have a religion, they also have a culture. Sometimes the culture and religion clash, but as well as that, there is a lot of spirituality, believing
Yeah.
in energy, believing in negative energy, believing in evil eye. If somebody compliments you too much, you're like, okay, after they leave, you gotta light a band. You gotta like heat up a band because just in case they felt. And usually, the blue eye, on those necklaces,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
in
yeah.
Turkey.
Oh, we have it everywhere, you know.
Yeah,
Like
I think we have a bit of it in Afghanistan
I
as well.
usually wear something on my. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't wear it today, but like yeah.
But the evil eye usually represents an eye of envy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
someone is envious, if they're asking too much question, if they're
Yeah.
complimenting you too much, they
Yeah.
also feel this negative energy, which is an energy of envy. That
But I think it's good that you mentioned because basically jewelry is a part of that.
jewelry, yes.
Yeah.
Another thing with that is, I remember my
It's
mom.
protection.
I don't know if my mom or my dad has it. So this jewelry, this piece of ring was passed down from my grandmother to my
Yeah.
dad or my mom or something. And then this was, passed on to my grandmother from her parents. And before that, it just like it kept being passed down to generation to generation. But we do believe certain rings has, especially the stone,
Yeah.
has some kind of meaning. The stone or the gem has some kind of energy that it protects you.
Yeah.
It protects you from an evil eye. It protects you from certain kind of situation. Like sometimes even in like the English, not the English, but the folklore stories that you hear in Scotland and in Wales and stuff like that. I used to do a bit of that through a university. You do hear there's superstition, attached to certain items, like cursed items. That is a
Yeah.
huge thing in the
Yeah.
West, and also certain things that is given to you for protection. Your father maybe will give you a ring or a necklace. You're
Yeah.
traveling further away to a different country, it will protect you. And even maybe it's true or it's not true, but having that to you, having that meaning to you, sometimes you do genuinely believe that that object is giving you some form of protection or keeping
I
evil
think
away
it's
from you.
true. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
totally true.
Reminds me of a Disney movie.
Which one?
The girl who
Mulan?
Mulan. I think
Mulan, yes!
Mulan and her ancestors coming to protect her, and stuff like that. And I feel like why not? At some point maybe this ring your ancestors wore it, so they carried some energy.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some life into it. That
I
when
do
it
believe so. I believe in sacred spaces, for example. I like
100%.
the places of, even though I might not be a religious person, but I like to visit the places of worship because I feel like they keep a lot of energy.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Not necessarily the people who teach those religions. I
No,
would
but like I
say
think people go there usually for like
with a
asking
clean
for
heart,
blessings. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
we believe a lot in with people who have with a clean heart or people who are spiritual. They kind of sometimes they can see a future or something. They can predict something bad is gonna happen, something's going to happen. But if they have a clean heart, you can take their word for it. If they had a dream, sometimes something horrible is gonna happen, but they dream it first. My mom is
Yeah.
very very spiritual, but I truly believe in that. And in Afghanistan, there is one word that I heard it before, but I didn't know the true meaning of it. Especially when I was in my village in Gulku, when I was there, certain trees they called it mazar. and I didn't understand why would they call, like, it's just a normal tree. What's the difference between this and that? You know, why would you call it mazar and make it sound so special? They told me it's like older than so many people, like maybe 1,000 years old or something, and that's what makes it special, because people had connection, especially
Yeah.
because it's a living thing, you know. That tree probably saw so many things, so many lives, so many things and events happening, so that's why it makes it special. I don't know, maybe in some other cultures they have that as well.
So I know the thing is like a superstition, but it works. Basically, for example, in my country, when a woman can't get like a couple, they can't get pregnant, right, for a while. They are told to go to cemetery, and you know, like a Muslim cemetery with like a. So there are certain places, and they say you have to sleep
What
over.
do you call it, mazar, or you have a different name for it?
How it's called?
Like it's like a spiritual place.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't remember the name, but like basically you go. It's like you build something on the place where someone is being how it's called,
Yeah.
passed away.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you have to sleep there, and usually maybe it's like your family, you know, it's your hometown, or maybe it's a place where someone sacred was, how it's called, buried.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it has a specific kind of energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and basically, if you like sleep over there, you get pregnant, and a lot of women do get pregnant afterwards.
From their husband.
Yeah, from spirit.
I don't know. They slept
From
together.
the whole spirit.
The grave of the spirit was.
That's so wrong.
No, you said they get
That's so
pregnant.
wrong.
And how do they sleep? They get pregnant.
No, I mean not overnight, but like soon
Yeah.
after. You
Yeah,
know?
from their husband.
I
Yeah.
think they keep trying afterwards. Maybe they.
You
they
know,
see the
when I was
energies
in Iran, I was going
Yeah.
through Iran, traveling. You know, I was just
from
waiting.
their husband.
To be honest, we traveled a lot in Iran. At some point, we were in Tehran, and
Uh-huh.
then we went to 7-hour drive to a different city.
Yeah.
And on our way to this, the destination we were going on, we went past a city called Yazd. Now, I have a lot of like family and relatives who live in Yazd. And then the taxi driver just told me an interesting story about this place. He goes, they said Yazd is historically known as a place where a lot of people who have trouble getting, having a child or something like that, they go to this place and they live there for a little bit, then they get pregnant. And I said, what is it, the weather or something? They're like, we're not quite sure, but historically it's known
I think the energy.
to be the cure, of infertility for men and women.
I do believe in that.
Yes. When I was in Afghanistan, at some point, like, despite me having a British passport,
Yeah.
and I was there, and also there was an ID card that you're supposed to have, but I didn't have that with me. So the whole time when I was traveling in Kabul, the capital city, and then I was in my village, and then I was also in another village called Jogri. Now in Jogri, what I noticed, actually all of these places, less so in Kabul, but I felt really safe. Like sometimes even more safe than UK. Like especially in my village, I didn't have this sense of alienation. I feel like I could trust these people, especially because they don't know me, but they know my grandparents. They know my grandparents. They know my parents, and sometimes they wouldn't even call me by my name. They'd call me like, "Oh, Samad's daughter," or they would take my mom's name or my grandparents' name and then call me their granddaughter. But it felt like a sense of community, that they would want to protect me or something like that if anything was happen.
There is something about your homeland, because sometimes I just feel this urge to go back to Kazakhstan. It's like
I feel like even the wolves there wouldn't eat me.
that's cute, actually.
But I like to be around. Maybe I don't know, because I was in Afghanistan at some point. My happiest memories is in Afghanistan, where we were in the village and we were in the capital city. I was also very, very tomboy because I grew up in Iran, so I wasn't like the ordinarily Hazara girl as well. Hazara girls, they would cook from the age of so young, 7,
You
8.
always talk about cooking. It's like a thing.
That's the thing. Like I remember my mom was like, "Come, you have to learn how to cook." I'm like, "I'm not gonna get married." And she's like, "Learn for yourself. You're going to university. If you live independently, you have to be able to cook for yourself." And I'm so glad that I learned. But I remember girls around my age at that time, when I was 8, 9 in Afghanistan, they were like doing chores, house chores, cooking, cleaning, getting water, I don't know, washing clothes or something. The thing I mentioned about child labor. So there is a lot of child labor. So it doesn't matter how old you are, and if you are a woman or a man, based on your gender, there's certain responsibility that comes, and they won't take it. Oh, you're a kid. No, there's no such thing as being a kid. We told you to do that. That was your responsibility. You should have done it. But when I went from Iran to Afghanistan, of course my dad's family, they were in Afghanistan for a long time, so they had a lot of views about what a girl can and can't do. But because me and my sister, we grew up in Iran for like over 7 years, we were in Iran, then we went to Afghanistan. They were like, oh, okay, maybe they are, they developed or adapted to the Iranian culture.
Is it much different?
Yes, a lot. Although the religion is the same, there's a lot of cultural differences.
I feel like Iran is quite progressive though,
Yes,
in many ways.
definitely,
Because I have
definitely.
a few Iranian friends, and they.
It depends. I
Yeah.
mean, there are some Iranian people that I met that are so religious. They
I
are
think they're not from Tehran. They're from other
Tehran.
towns.
Tehran, you have to understand, is like
Oh, they have
the
the
city.
areas, right? Like I
Yeah,
think
different
the
areas.
Upper Tehran and like
People who grew up in Yazd and near Mashhad, which is a different cities, they're a lot more religious than people
Yeah.
who grew up in Tehran. Tehran is, I
Yeah.
think, is the capital city.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I
Mhm.
think my friends who are from Tehran, they're pretty progressive.
Yeah.
At least when they are here. I don't know. Like sometimes when you're back to your home country, you have
Yeah.
to live different lifestyle. But here they're like.
Yeah, but when I was in Afghanistan, even in the village or in the capital city, I felt most at home.
Really?
Yes, even
Even though you grew up here.
yes,
Wow.
in some senses. But when this time last year, when I went back to Afghanistan, I went with a far kind of distant family member. There's an airplane. You have to bear in mind we don't want to shout either. So this time when I went to Iran and Afghanistan, I had this idea that they might see me as an outsider because I've been away from home for such a long time. And out of all the countries, I've stayed Afghanistan the least. UK the longest, then Afghanistan, then a couple of months in Pakistan here and there. But this time when I went, I did feel a sense of nostalgia when I was in my village, seeing my old school, the mountains, all of that. But at the same time, I had this fear that they might see me as an outsider. And
Why do you have a fear? Like it's up to you, right? Like
yes, but it's
about
just
it's
how
about
they
how you
treat you,
feel.
how they treat you,
Okay.
how they talk to you. I remember when I was in the car coming from Ghazni, from my village. No, from Gulku. From Gulku to Kabul was like 7 to 9 hours drive in a car, and I was in this one car. At some point, in the beginning of the travel, it's like Afghanistan doesn't have any street laws or car laws, so 5-seater car, 10 people will sit in there. They will fit it somehow. So at some point, we're sitting in the car, and then there's like 2 or 3 rows of seat, and there's this man. I don't see his face, but he's of course from the same village as me. He asked me a question. He's like, is it true that people who go to the west or that goes to Britain, women and people, Afghan people or Hazara people, when they go there, they forget their religion, they forget their roots? And within like couple
Was
of
he a taxi driver?
he wasn't but he was one no he wasn't a taxi driver. He was one of the people sitting there, but he somehow found out that I was from the UK.
Okay.
But of course he
Why
knew
would he be in the one car?
it was like you kind of like hire a car. So if you're going there, you just pay like £5 or something. Everyone pays their own. There's like it's a village, so every couple of days there's a car that goes, and there's no buses, there's no
And they put
trains.
random people together.
They put random people together, yeah. But I was
okay.
sitting like next to this another female person from my village that knows me, but I don't know them. They know me based on my grandparents and my parents. Sitting in a car, and this guy is like, "Is it true that when they go to England, they don't wear their headscarf? They start wearing miniskirts? They said basically wearing trousers as well. Trousers is seen as a man's clothing, not a woman's clothing." And I was like, I don't know, uncle, but I think a person's religion is between themselves and God alone, and God is the only person who can judge them in any way. And if there is any punishment they receive, it should be from God. But isn't it also true that gossiping behind people is equally worse?
Come back.
Yeah. And then he didn't really have much to say, But I wasn't in the mood to argue or to prove him wrong or anything like that. And I just told him straight up, like, what you're doing is basically gossiping, and that's wrong as well. You never truly know. And I really do believe that a person's religion is between them and between their God, whoever their God may be. It's nothing that needs to be pushed onto people, whether by force, by persuasion, in any other ways or forms. If there is a mosque, if there is a church, if there is whatever, some kind of sanctuary, they should accept people when they come. This all kind of, I don't know, ties to the identity you kind of develop in the Western world in UK when you live here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was embroidery. Do you guys have a lot of embroidery in your culture?
Like on clothes.
Yeah, clothes, scarves.
Yeah, I think we have patterns and like
For hats.
for hats, for clothes,
Mhm.
for like sleeves, you know,
Mhm.
for jewelry. Like those are like national
Yeah.
ones, right? So
Yeah,
you study them. Like even in school, we
you can study them.
like we learn about them like in art classes,
Yeah.
what it means, you know. Yeah, I never thought much about the meaning. I just know that's part of national clothes, and you can kind of recognize it.
It is, but I feel like in Afghanistan there's less of the education for it. It's more like if someone is good at doing embroidery, naturally they get more jobs and you can actually earn money from doing that. I don't know how the Taliban sees that for women doing embroidery and selling work because they don't really like women working or making money in any way. However, it is a huge thing that Afghan, not just Afghan people or Hazara people, they just love embroidery patterns. You know, it's part of their culture. It's part of something having something valuable. You know, I want to show something. So this is
Yay.
my wallet.
Pretty. So this is like a national embroidery, like
I wouldn't say national, but I know definitely for my culture, for Hazara ethnicity, it's called Guli Atlas. Gul means flower. Atlas is
Oh,
a
good
type of.
also means flower in our language. I think it's like. Do you have Turkic language?
Uh,
Turkic roots at least.
I don't know. I know in Turkish, gul is also flower.
Yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
old Turkic language, like Uzbek, Kazakh, etc. Turkish.
Yeah, but I noticed Hazaragi people kind of have their embroideries. There is a little bit that differentiates them from other ethnicities in Afghanistan who also has embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's part of art and culture
Yeah.
and identity. You know, Afghanistan also
Art,
is
yeah.
also known for its carpets.
Oh, really?
You know, the handmade carpets in Afghanistan.
I've heard about Persian carpets. I haven't heard about Afghan carpets. though.
Persian and Afghan, they're very
Valuable?
yeah, like even here, like it's so expensive to have that kind of
I
thing.
love carpets.
It's handmade, like it's hand woven, and the patterns and the colors is so much more colorful. You know, this is what I'm saying. Afghanistan as a country as a whole is so much more colorful. So I see it in the dress, you see it in the almonds, in the pistachios, in the apricots, in the plums, in the grapes,
Yeah,
and all of that.
it's a warm country, so there should be a lot of color, flowers.
There is a lot of
stuff
color,
like
yeah.
that, like sun, a lot of sun.
But you know, another thing is about home. For me, home is Afghanistan. Uh, Fruit there is so much more delicious than here. Certain things they never have. Certain fruit is not the season they don't have. But I remember the first day we were there, we had soup, like Afghan Hazara soup.
How do you call it?
Shorwa.
We call it sorpa. Sorpa,
Very
shorpa.
similar, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
similar.
So we had shorwa, and oh my god, like I was like, this is so tasty. Like when I have meat here,
Yeah.
like I have a little bit, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I don't take any more. But there, I just kept on taking more, and even the potatoes. And like even the pasta.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I'm feeling hungry. I didn't have any, like I have snacks here if you want. I have crackers and hummus.
Oh, let's do it.
We eat and we talk.
Yeah, it's like a mukbang.
Yeah.
Ooh, guys, it's like fancy
Special-
beetroot hummus.
Special hummus. Kefir.
Wow! Girl, you came prepared.
The thing is, my mom wouldn't let me leave the house until I have it. I was like, Mom, it's late. So I just took them, you know, knowing that I'll eat at
that's
some point.
smart.
Because I have another meeting later on with friends. So I don't know what time I'm going to get home today.
Thanks to your mom.
Merci, maman. What do you call your mom?
Mama?
Mama?
Yes, but it's like Russian. Mama, Papa.
Yeah. I was very young when I was in Iran.
How do you
And
call your mom? Maman?
maman. But like, I know the French also say maman.
Yeah, but they pronounce mama. Mama, Papa.
No, I heard somewhere
Like maman?
maman,
But they don't pronounce the last thing though. Like mama,
maybe in
Papa.
the recent time they don't, but a long time ago they used to. And you know,
Probably.
certain words I've noticed in Persian is very similar to French. So I don't know what the connection is there. I don't know maybe the history, but for example, in my language, well, in Persian, Iranian, when you say thank you, you say merci. French is also merci for thank you, right?
It is French, yeah.
Yeah, but we say in
Merci
Persian as well,
beaucoup.
merci. Yeah,
Really, you say in Persian
yeah,
merci?
merci. Yeah. But in Afghanistan, we have different words for thank you then. But in Iran, you say merci.
Maybe it's more like culture. Like we use, for example, mama, papa. It's not Kazakh way to call your parents.
Yeah.
It's just adapted, right? Like
Yeah.
because
Ah.
my parents don't call their parents mama papa. They call it differently.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
This is Afghan Hazara food. So it's called bologna, and my mom made it today. So I want you to try it. It's got like it's like a pastry, but it has fillings of potato and some veggies in there.
It smells good.
Yeah,
Like,
I hope
already
it's good.
can
Yeah.
Guys, are you jealous of us? We have the whole feast. Okay, I'll just take it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, ASMR chewing.
Yeah. Have you watched that guy? What is his name? Something avocado. Nico avocado or something. He was doing mukbangs.
Oh,
Is it spicy? No. Do you like it?
what is it made of? Is it like chickpea?
I gotta ask my mom. Every now and then she adds new, but it definitely has turmeric. This is why it's all kind of yellow. It has potatoes in there.
Tastes like Indian food a little bit. Maybe it's in spices.
Potato, yeah, I feel potato. I think it's mostly the turmeric. My mom puts too much in there. She's like, it's medicine. It is kind of medicine, I guess.
Yes, it's like good for your immunity.
But recently, like, I was clearing the house and I found a bag, maybe no bigger than this, like this huge bag. When I was in Afghanistan in Kabul, my mom was like, "You gotta bring some spices." So they have a spice shop. I went to a spice shop and I was like, "I want dawai deg." Dawai deg. If you translate dawai deg, it translates to dawa means medicine, deg means pot, medicine pot, like basically powder, chili powder, all of that. But it's like not just one spice. It's like so many different kind of spices that they mix. We have something called zira.
Oh, zira is like
It's just a seed.
yeah, there is an English name to zira. Cumin.
Yes. Cumin.
Yeah.
Then we have different kind of chilies in Afghanistan that are not spicy, but they make
Saffron. Saffron.
saffron. We definitely Saffron is a spice.
I think so, but it's like very expensive one, right?
Rich people spice.
Yeah, I think they made it from flowers. That's why it's very expensive. It's like from flower petals.
Just like little red bits from a flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, saffron. No, but the saffron, my mom asked me to bring it separately. So I bought some saffron. I'm glad. I'm privileged to have saffron.
Saffron
I know,
privilege.
like, but some people around the world they cannot, like, especially in Iran and Afghanistan, there's people who cannot afford saffron. But we got saffron, we got, and also the chili spice bag that I bought, they mix in turmeric, of course, a bunch of other things that I don't even know what the name is in English or in my language. But they put at least 7, 8 different color of stuff. There was one green one, I don't know what that was. They mix it in. Because my mom was like, I was like, Mom, send your voice, like record your voice and send it. And I showed it to the shopkeeper. And when I was showing it to the shopkeeper was like, okay, this. And then he kept on like, he had a scoop in every jar, put it in a bag. And then he was like, yeah, just mix it and just, your mom would know what to do. And I was like, okay, yeah. But that was an experience. Having a whole spice shop, like literally there's just a shop with just jars and glass of different kind of things.
I remember I saw them in Dubai a lot.
Mm.
It's amazing. I even have pictures. It looks really pretty, but it's really tasty.
Thank
So
you.
it's Afghani, right?
Yeah, it's called bologna. I feel like maybe it's a national Afghan dish. I know Hazaragi people make it for sure, but I'm sure like Pashtun and Tajik people make it as well. Wow, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one thing that we need to talk about, then we can conclude and then finish. Home.
Home. Home. What about home?
Can we do that? The reason I also went to Afghanistan was because I was very homesick. The reason I also went to Afghanistan was because I was very homesick. So I feel like it did me good. It kind of cured that. And then it also made me realize when I was in Afghanistan, I visited my grandparents' land. They have a lot of lands there. They have mountains, they have rivers, they have stones. I was like, whose almond tree is like these, who owns this field of apricot trees? They're like your granddad.
Oh, really? Is he rich?
Yeah, so in Bagaitar, the Dashte Bagaitar, the desert of Bagaitar, we had a lot of like land there and homes there. It's just like the houses there is all crumbled up. It doesn't feel like a home anymore. Some people are still there. Everyone wants to get out of there because there's no work, there's no this, there's no freedom. You can't have your children get an education. But it's tough, you know. Sometimes the only thing you have is those land, and you don't have money, and you can't get out, and it's hard to
You
leave.
can't sell for like dollars.
Maybe you can sell, but sometimes, for me, when I saw some families there, the children wanted to leave, but there was one guy who was actually building a well in the desert. It just seemed like he didn't want to leave because that's where he grew up. That's where he's been like 50 years of his life. Now he has to go to a different country and start again. I also went to my village where I was born in Gulku, and also there was a lot of in the desert. There wasn't any mountains, but there was a lot of mountains in Gulku. There was streams, there was trees, there was a lot of things. And I also looked at it. I revisited the home I was born in, and then the first thing I said is like, has it shrunk? They're like, no, you've grown up.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I was there as a child, and then going there as an adult.
Oh my
It was crazy, like
God.
how I felt like the space is so much
So
smaller than before.
And you're a small
Yeah, exactly, you know.
sure.
Exactly, but I've grown like since I was
Yeah.
7 or 8 when we were in Afghanistan.
Mm.
So that was another thing. And then when I was there traveling, and I was reflecting a lot every night, I was writing what I was seeing, what I was experiencing, and stuff like that, and what I wanted to go and what I wanted to see. Where did I want to take a picture? You know, the links tied for home and identity and whatnot. At some point, I kind of realized, okay, this is always going to be there. The village, it's been over 20 years. It hasn't changed one bit. The people's mentality don't change. They just kind of stay the same.
Crazy, right? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. It's just they don't see the outside world, so they don't change. But we adapted in a way. We see that place, and then at some point I realized, that I really, really miss my parents. I really miss my siblings and whatnot. And I was like, okay, you know what?
You make me miss my family right now. I'm gonna
Should
cry.
revisit them.
I really want to go home.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
But I realized that home is wherever your heart is. It's not like where maybe memories, But I saw the house there. It was just an empty building, just like some bricks, wall, 4 walls and a roof and a window. But it wasn't home because I feel what makes a home is like the people, your mom, your dad, your siblings, your family, your friends. Yeah, but I really, really liked going there. It made me realize that home is wherever your family is, wherever my parent is. So I guess UK is home now. Afghanistan was home, but it is home no more for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think we can conclude that probably what home identity roots it means different things for different people, and everyone can have their own understanding and appreciation of that. And I would also say that from hearing like your story about your project, it's such a like we don't realize that it's a privilege to have a place to go back to be able to connect to those things that were nurturing you since a young age, because I feel like even now there are so many war and torn places and people just can't go back.
Yes, but I noticed there's a lot of similarities in our culture
There are a lot of similarities
in terms of jewelry,
Yeah.
embroidery, food. Is there food similarities in food?
I think maybe you have more like Uzbek, Tajik, Indian influences, Southeast Asian influences, but I
Yeah.
think language, clothing, appearances. I mean, like I asked my parents about like Hazara Afghans, and they said, yeah, I think we have the same roots because we have like our ancestors are like Hazaria. I showed you, right?
Mhm.
So I think like there is Turkic roots to that.
Yeah.
And like in terms of appearances, we are very similar. I think the words are similar, and like traditional clothes, jewelry, embroidery, like a lot of similarities. Yeah,
Yeah.
even the pictures. Like when she showed me like pictures that she took of Hazara Afghans. I was like, oh, they look like Kazakh people,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there is a lot of similarities. So I think that's why this conversation was very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot to
Yeah.
learn from each other. I know, like, there isn't that much of a difference.
Yeah.
We always have something in similarities as human connections.
I think my parents say, take what you like, always move forward, take what you like with you, and what you don't like, just leave it behind for whoever wants to keep it.
There's a saying in my language that goes, "Koh the koh namirsa, adam da adam mirsa." It means a mountain and a mountain, they cannot get too close to each other. They cannot come close, but a human and another human being, they can come close in terms and connect.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
think it's a great wrap up for the
Yeah.
episode.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Round of
you.
applause.
Applause. Follow our Instagram socials. I'm gonna leave Kubra's social as well. And
Yes.
thank you for being here. It was a wonderful day.